This is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but to me, I feel like the pandemic in 2020 was the best time in the world. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the people that passed away from COVID, you know what I'm saying, RIP to the people that were victims of COVID-19. I'm sorry, the pandemic, the pandemic. If you know, you be tapped in. You know what I'm saying. I feel like that shit was orchestrated, but nor here nor there. You know what I'm saying. The pandemic, C19. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother video, another day. I don't want to get into conspiracies because, I be, you know what I'm saying? But anywho, despite of that, RP to the people that passed away. At the same time, though, I feel like it was the best time in human history. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at that time, especially if you a person that was laid off from your job like me, I was laid off at around that time. Like, I used to work at a warehouse job. And then as the virus was, getting into the country, the whole world stopped. Everything shut down. You couldn't go to certain places. People was getting laid off from their job because of this shit. Yeah, I was one of them that got laid off. But guess what? Once I applied for unemployment, bruh, I was getting unemployment checks and I wasn't even working. I was getting motherfucking stimulus checks, dog. Like, I was literally sitting at the house for literally, I would say a year. Like, I literally went a year without working. I was sitting back collecting unemployment benefits. I was literally getting fucking stimulus checks. I remember they was giving out stimulus checks like $1,200, $1,300. Nigga, that was filling up my fucking account, nigga. I ain't had to fucking do shit. I ain't had to fucking work. I had so much time making music. Like, I remember when I was making videos back in 2020, a nigga had so much time putting out music. Nigga had so much time putting out projects. You know what I'm saying? The algorithms was not as toxic as it is now. Niggas was getting views. Like, I had, bruh, I literally had potential to be big, nigga. Like, the pandemic, like I said, it had its ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? I was still grieving over my mom passing away. That shit hurt. I had fallen out with different people around that time. You know what I'm saying? I got into internet beefs and shit. But despite of that shit, it was the best times, man. I was getting a lot of views on my fucking channel. My music at that time, was getting some active attraction. And I had potential, man. I had potential to blow. Me and my homie, when we was working on music, me and my homie Jay, we had potential, man, to blow. But, life didn't fucking pan out that way. And then once the pandemic kind of fizzled out, now motherfuckers is working and shit. Niggas gotta work these fucking slave jobs. You know what I'm saying? Niggas don't have time to they music as much no more because, you gotta constantly make money. If and then a lot of times when you come home from your job, you're fucking mentally tired. You don't even want to make music at that point. You don't even want to get on the computer to make beats because you're so fucking tired. You work an 8-hour shift and you're fucking drained. You know what I'm saying? I missed the pandemic. I'm not gonna lie, man. I missed the fucking pandemic. I know this is an unpopular opinion because, in society and history, people say, oh, the pandemic was the worst times. And yeah, it was terrible. You know what I'm saying? A lot of lives was lost. People died. But I mean, if you want to be honest, people die every fucking day. It ain't stopping. People die from all types of shit. Death ain't stopping people from dying. You know what I'm saying? So it's it was the best times as far as, you had time to yourself. It wasn't a lot of people outside. You know, you didn't have to be around fucking people. Like you know, especially if you're a person that don't really deal with people, you was social distancing. You know what I'm saying? You had time to really like be yourself, reflect. Hell, the pandemic was the perfect time for people to wake up and, you know, revolt against the system. You know, that's what I thought what it was. You know, I ain't gonna lie, when the pandemic first happened, I thought a zombie apocalypse was gonna happen. I kid you not. I thought the motherfucking zombie apocalypse was finna pop off. Cause you was seeing so many people buying toilet paper and buying this and buying that. I was like, damn. Don't tell me the zombie apocalypse was about to kick off. But yeah, man. Like I said, 2020 pandemic was the best times. Like I said, I know this is an unpopular opinion. You know what I'm saying? I feel like 2020 was a very, very underrated year. You know what I'm saying? People always talk about how they missed 2016 and 2016 was a good year. You know what I'm saying? To me, I think 2020 was underrated. That being said,